All right. Thank you for the introduction. And before I continue, I should thank everyone that supported me to come here for the Plone Conf 2018. All right. I supposed to start out with Konnichiwa. I'm Oshane, but I already got the introduction. All right. What Jamaicans are doing at Plone, that's basically what my presentation is going to be about. But before I do, tell you what we are doing, I have to tell you about the state of Plone in Jamaica. Plone lacks presence, and there's almost just 10 Plone developers in Jamaica right now, so it's extremely scarce. Yet we're doing a lot of work, building out a lot of websites. So, new developers, how are we onboarding new developers, prone developers that is? Well, when we get a new developer, most likely Python, they say there's too much to learn, too much things to do in prone. Um, they, they said it's for a non-savvy developer, it's a lot, especially someone that is just coming out of the university, fresh off the press. So as a software development shop, Altu, which is the company I work for, David Bain company, we realized that, yeah, Python developers don't go on tree, and Plone is not like H2O where you can say to a chemist and they get it. So there's a transition from being a Python backend developer to a Plone backend developer. So, and to start off new projects, it takes some technical effort for they to install, deploy, and just develop Plone websites. All right. And this learning curve, during this learning curve, of course, any project, once there's a learning curve, the project loses momentum. So what are we doing about all this? How are we addressing it? Of course, we create roadmaps for developers, designers, and even our clients, site owners, how to develop and deploy and maintain the site. Also to, get users engaged. It's all about digital customer experience when it comes on to the clients. So we provide documentation and guidelines. We use collaborative tools for communication to do mock-up. We're using Figma to do mock-up. And we do design sprints and brand sprints to, get, hold on, to get the customer the right type of logo, the right type of design, and the workflow for their customers, the client customers, to be engaged on the website and on social media and other platforms. So we want developers to sprint like Usain Bolt by giving them a platform workflow to, go out and run as fast as they can. Well, when it comes on to coding and developing effective and efficient software. We develop root site launch kit, which basically is a CLI tool that helps you to either deploy a Plone site. It will create a GitLab repository and set up all of the necessary tools that we use for development. We also have predefined CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development configuration inside of the root launch kit, so that when we just build out a new project, we have robot testing and continuous integration set up, and I will show you some of that later on in the presentation. There's also Docker, which we use for documentation, guideline, user manual, and it works with redox and Sphinx for auto documentation of code. All right. We let designers be designers, focus on design by giving them, earlier on I mentioned Figma. Figma we use for mock-up, and we build out UI component. These UI components we're using as mosaic tiles and styles, which is dropped directly inside of the theme. This is something Dylan will touch on later on in his presentation. And you probably noticed this is actually using the upgraded theme editor for my Google Summer of Code project last year. So this is Plone 5.1. This is an example of a predefined Diaz rule, XSLT. What it's doing is basically transforming mosaic grid to a bootstrap grid. This is something that Mike was talking about in the community. How can you get mosaic grid to be transformed to other grid system? He had some problems with the transformation, and that's where certain mosaic styles or classes would be lost during the transformation. So I added some couple of new code to it, which keeps the basic layout and the basic classes, IDs, and so forth from the mosaic transformation to bootstrap transformation. All right, this is an example of the transformation, but this is for the footer. So what happened is that anywhere in the footer I put fcall2, fcall3, fcall4, or so forth, you can just assign which column you want, and then DSL and XSLT will basically take out the fcall and then drop the footer portrait directly under, or stack it under whichever column, which you can see there. It was first in the second column, now it's in the first column. Oh, it's a GIF, so it started over. Well, I touched on this earlier, so I actually jumped the gun. So this is the mosaic and bootstrap code, XSLT code for transformation. All right, another tool that we built out, and you probably heard about it before, is the GLOSS project. It basically allows you to don't write XSLT or DSL. All you need to do is just put some classes like GL title inside of your theme, and it will do the transformation for you. This project was done by David Bailey, employer, another Jamaican. And as I mentioned earlier, we're using a lot of mosaic. Mosaic is the way to go for most designers in Jamaica. All right, another thing I posted in the community is theme, auto-deploying theme directly from GitLab to whichever Plone website you want. This is basically the configuration file for the CI/CD inside of GitLab, and it can be modified for Jenkins or whichever CI/CD tool. Going to do a quick demo of it. Moment of truth. Last year, the demo didn't go so well, so this year, hopefully it's better. No, it will be better. So this page is basically all of the version of the theme that was deployed to the Jamaican developers website. currently a rollback version is there. So if I go and adjust, if I go and click this button right here, it will launch a new build out for the team. Whoa. It will launch a new build out for the team and then push it directly to the website once the build has been passed. So let me just show you how it will look from the team manager section. So in the team manager, you see basically the version number of the team, and also you can find it if you do a page inspect, where you see the version attached to the REST file or any static file that the team is using. The reason why it was done that way is to clear the cache, so that will fix any caching issue that the site will have. Other concerns that people ask me about it is whereby, what if someone can change the configuration file? GitLab allows you to lock the configuration file so only maintainers can make a change. The environmental variables like the password and so forth that Plone team upload to that Haskell built, all of those are encoded and used as environmental variable, which is only accessible by the maintainers of the project. Let's go back and check if the build out finished. Okay, so it's still built. Actually, it's upload. It's using the Plone team upload now to push directly to the site. So I'll just continue to talk while that's running. All right. Another thing. What if someone could create tags? Tags are only created by maintainers. GitLab have a lot of permissions, roles, and workflow that you can forbid developers from doing certain tasks. So this is taking a while. Okay, I'm going to move on and then come back to this later. All right. Another thing we implementing and have an add-on for is faceted search and filter for results with indexable JSON data, and we're using collective data grid field for basically some JSON data input, and this is basically the code for it. We have indexer that basically added to the indexing mechanism of Plone. We created a utility, which is most likely the vocabulary for the index that we created, which is profession in this case. We added the profession to the catalog, so you can basically use the search bar to search for profession, like for example, software developer. And we also added it to the registry so it can use by the collection content type. And you notice you have two operations, any and all. In the search filter, you can use any, which is basically any of these tags, or all of these tags must match for the result set. 5 more minutes, all right. All right, the whole aspect of doing all of this is the digital customer experience. We want to let the customer be engaged. We interact with we have integration with social media and other tools. Some of the tools were actually built by a Google Summer of Code developer, Shirans. We're trying to let site owners, clients, basically do less work as possible and focus on the things that they need to focus on. And we have JamaicanDevelopers.com, which we use as a directory of website. We're doing a lot of events, pushing a lot of Python programs, and talk about Python application and open source stuff with all of these events and companies David have. I'm trying to run through. All right. In Jamaica, mainly people use Java and Python, but their preferred language is Python. Based on statistics I actually did, 1 day ago, created a survey and 100 odd people answered. But a lot of people don't know about Plone in Jamaica. Right now we actually have we're running 20 to 30 Plone sites for government and other institutions in Jamaica. And of course, we're doing outside with international projects. So we want more projects to come in so that we can publicize Plone more and push it to more developers, because more international projects that come in is the more work developers can do, better pay, and more things to learn. This is my ending slide, but before I end it, let me go back to the CI, and you notice that it builds successfully. So on this page, if you notice, these tags are, menu options are blue, and this is just ugly and big. Big up to Castle CMI. So if I refresh the page, the menu items will turn green, and the text will become a bit smaller. Wait. Hold on. Going to check if it actually finished deploy. Oh, I actually deployed the wrong one. So it's the version 1.12.9 I was supposed to deploy, which has the latest code. So yeah. Well, so basically that's it. If questions and answers give me enough time to just show the change, then I will show it. That's it for now.
Thanks, Oshane. We got 1 minute for questions.
So with the GitLab CI deployment and stuff, like, is it are you running one site for one Docker image? Or?
There is no right now. Docker is not involved.
Okay.
The team is basically totally separated outside of Plone and just push once any change is done, and we create a tag. For the backend Plone now, I do an automated rollout for that using a DigitalOcean system.
Okay, but is it multi-site? Like, are you putting all those sites on the same set of ZOP, or is it separate?
Well, right now it's just one site I'm running. But other sites, we've done projects with multiple sites on one single instance, which push multiple different teams to different sites.
Okay, time's up. Thanks again to Oshane. And the next talk will be given by Mike Derstappen. Mike is a long-standing member of the Plone community. He's also a member of the Plone Foundation and the CMS Garden. And he's going to talk about Plone CLI. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I want you to give a little bit more detailed overview about what you can do with Plone CLI, or let's say what Plone CLI can do for you. First, what is Plone CLI? Basically, it's a user-friendly front end for Mr. Bob and Bob Templates Plone, or any other add-on which is providing Bob templates for you. The main advantage is you have way shorter commands. You have auto-completion, so you're not forced to remember how to use it. You can just start and it will tell you. What we also gained in the last couple of years is some sort of modularity. So now it's possible to create a package and enhance it step by step. The image is not really fitting, right? Okay, it's a little bit too big. Basically, what you can do is you can create content types. It will ask you some questions. We added a couple of questions in the last years to give you more control what's being created. And you have several options. So what we basically did here is create two content types. One is a container for to-dos. The second one is the to-do item itself. And after that, we also create a view to represent the to-do items we have or we will create. As you can see also here, you get Git support included, so everything you are doing with the Plone CLI will check in automatically commits, so you can remove steps you did. Let's say you created a view and later you decide, oh, I don't need that. You can just revert the comment and on different places the content and the tests and all is gone. Yeah, the only thing you have to customize a few places up to your needs. So for view, for example, currently it's just registered for folders as an example. So you can change this to your interface of your content type. That's a manual change. So I think there was one change left. Yeah. What we also created in the last year is a small snippet plugin for Visual Studio Code. So you can use this to create your schema, because Plone CLI will not create your schema. That's not the right place to do it. You want to do it in your editor, or you want to do it in Plone with the schema editor and export it. Or in this case is like the XML, but you can also do this in Python. The Python schema is not complete yet. I'm still working on it. But you're free to help and to customize and to put some more helpers in there. I would really like to see this also for Sublime and Atom or whatever editor you prefer. Yeah. So now we starting the whole thing. This basically was like a fast build out. I skipped this a little bit. Then we try the whole thing out. I think I speeded up the last part a little bit too much. Okay, let's go to the facts. We have several, let's say, standalone templates. So you can use Plone CLI create to create an add-on. This is the most used template you will need. It's the base for all the other sub-templates we have. You can also use something called build-out, which is basically creating you a folder with a build-out configuration, which is meant to use for like project build-outs or for testing purposes. And there's one theme package, which also creates a Plone add-on with an integrated theme. This is deprecated already because we implemented a sub template called theme Barceloneta, and you can use this in the add-on you create with the add-on template. This gives you more flexibility. So here we have the commands you use usually. So you can, after you created your add-on package, you go in the package folder, and then you can enhance it step by step. So you can add behaviors as much as you want, content types one after each other, portlets. You can add a theme. The first theme subtemplate is a rather simple one. So it's meant for if you get a theme from your designer or from Theme Forest or whatever. You just take it, you put it in the theme folder, and then you start to integrate it with the ISO settings. There's a lot of example but deactivated the ISO rules, so it's up to you to integrate your theme, but there's no Barceloneta stuff, and you will not use when you have a completely different theme. For the other way, let's say you want you're okay with the default view of Plone, and you want to just customize, then you use the second, which is theme Barceloneta. It ships basically Barceloneta, and you can customize it. The other templates are view, viewlet, and vocabulary. So you can create views, the viewlets, and the vocabularies also with Plone CLI. Plone CLI always tells you what is available. For now, it's this. That can be changed. So you have always either this overview, which also shows you that these templates are nested, so they are depending on the add-on package or the add-on template, let's say. Let's look a little bit into detail. How does it look when you use a template? For example, for the behavior, we just call this like this, and then the first always is a check with Git. So we check if the current state of your package is clean. If it's not, you will get a warning. You can override it, but that's up to you. You shouldn't do that because you're not safe otherwise. Commit your changes before you use the Plone CLI, and Plone CLI will support you in doing that and taking care of that you not accidentally start with using the scaffolding and overwriting your stuff. Then, in this case, we just ask for the class name for the behavior. That can be anything you want. You can give a description, and then we also run the Git commands to also make a nice commit and a meaningful commit message, so that you can later see in the Git log what you have done. Yeah, if you're done all this, you will also get some useful information. In this case, for example, you have the names you can use, the identifiers to actually use the behavior. So you can put this in the XML file of your content type, and you have the behavior there. The same applies for vocabularies, for example. So you don't have to think about how do I do the lookup later. The content type template is by far the most complex or the flexible one. You have a bunch of questions. Some are simple and they have been there for a long time, like the name of the content type and the description. You can decide if you want to use the XML model. So, for example, if you want to use the schema editor in Plone to define what fields your content type will have, you can do that. Then you can export the XML file and put it in your package, and you have your schema. You can say no to that. In this case, you will still have an XML file, which you could use in a combination of loading it into your Python interface. For example, if you use the schema editor in the Plone interface and for writing this down when you sit together with your client, you still be able to do your advanced stuff in Python. So you just load, do model load the name of the XML file in your interface, and from there on you do as you would do when you define the whole schema in the Python interface directly. Or you just ignore the XML model file or delete it and just define in the interface the good old way your schema. We have also some other useful questions. This is like, will be the content type globally edible? This is especially useful because when you have the container, like the to-dos container we added before, you want it to do only edible inside this container and not on the whole site. Otherwise, you mess up your add menu with 20 or more content types in some cases. And also, it's important for testing. So we generate the tests that you actually create the necessary container before you actually try to add the content type in it. We have here some examples. So here you see the parent content type you also been asked for here will be used to update, or the information will be used to update the FTY files of these. And in the test, we create the parent container before we actually use the parent container to just use the Plone API to create inside the parent container the to-do item. You have here a list of other useful commands the Plone CLI provide. You can get the list of templates as you have seen. You can get the versions of the Plone CLI itself and also the Bob templates. The most useful used commands are create and add. It depends. What you see here depends on where you are. If you're outside of a package, you see the create here in the list. If you're inside of a package, you will not see create because it's not useful there. Inside, you have the add command to add more features. Then you have some commands like build or serve and test. Build is basically doing a clean virtual environment, doing the build out command for you, so that you have like multiple steps. Usually the Plone CLI shows you also which commands are running when you use these commands. You can also stack them. So you can say Plone CLI build, test, serve. It will run the build, it will test, run all tests, and then it will just start in the front so that you can actually use it. Register your Bob templates for Plone CLI and Mr. Bob. What it means is you can actually write your own packages. You don't have to put every template we want to use with the Plone CLI in Bob templates Plone. That would be a mess. You can have custom templates you just use for your projects, for your customers, for just your needs, or you can add some community stuff so that you, for example, the migration stuff we had for Transmogifier, maybe it's a better idea to put this in a separate package and register this. How this works is we are using Python entry points. So basically you register or you put this in your setup PY, and this is the name of this is the global name. So you have Plone underline as a prefix of all, and then this is the name of the template, and this is the dotted name path to the registry file, and inside there's a method which has this name. It looks like this. This is the registry object. It just has some configuration. So we have the template name. We have an alias for the Plone CLI. So in the Plone CLI, we just say create add-on. I don't have to say create a Plone add-on because it's a Plone CLI. Of course, it's a Plone add-on. And this applies to all the other templates too. But if you use Mr. Bob, you will use the global name which has the prefix Plone underline, because we are not the only ones who have add-ons. This is the add-on method there. It's a standalone template, so it just has the path to the template, and this is what you would put if you call Mr. Bob directly. You would name the template like this, but it's hard to remember. And this is the alias. And when you have a sub-template, you have this additional thing, which is like, I'm depending on Plone, this information we are using to show the nesting so that we can actually see which template is meant to live in what standalone template. Yeah, contribute. You can customize. All the templates are not perfect. We are living from the community, so please have a look at it, discuss in issues or on the forums what we can improve there to make all people's lives easier, to have best practices there. Add missing templates or fix a small bug there. Add just a question to a template if it makes sense. And please also build your own packages and publish them if they are for any use for the community. Just some ideas for the future. REST API support for the add-on template. So in the future, REST API will be included, but for Plone 4 it's not, and Plone 5 packages also not so far. So I just want to have like, okay, my package should be dependent on REST API. Then also some REST API templates to create services, serializers, deserializers, some more settings for the content type template, available option for parent settings in content types. For example, if you have already created some content types and you want to give the parent name, now you have to know it, but I would like to have like a choice list or something. An option to set the interface for the view, so we had to make these customizations. It could be also like I have a list of all available content types, so when I create a view I can already select for which content type I want to use it. And some options yeah, to use the interface. And last but not least, to make these selections of options possible, some sort of user interface which should work on all platforms. But this is like just an idea. We will see. So if you want to sprint on it, do it. I'm here the whole weekend. Would be happy to help you. Any questions?
Not a question, just short update. Bob templates, Plone runs on Python 3. There's a branch at least with a pull request that you can review. But Plone CLI does not. It needs a couple fixes in sub-process, but that shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. Cool. That's what I want. There is a migration, Chrissy did a pull request to add migration templates, like what she had in her training.
Okay, but it's more basic, simply to I mean, instead of, I mean, what we would like to do, I mean, we have a lot of old archetypes and we want to use this to create new dexterity. And then my question is if we can use the Bob templates as they are now, or we have to twist it before they will work with Python 3.
You have to switch what? No, I mean, it works on Python 2, of course, everything.
Yes.
I mean, you can switch now to and create your new stuff in Dexterity, no matter if you are still on Python 2.
Yeah, but my question is if the Bob templates themselves will create code that will be compliant with Python 3 version of Plone.
That should be the case. We will probably work on that.
Yes, yeah. Okay, well, that's fine.
If you run it on Python 2, it works on Python 3. But if you create it in Python 3, then it breaks. Currently, so there's no problem with the templates that you create.
Okay, so templates are perfect.
Yes, exactly. Just the creation has a small issue.
Okay, okay. Okay, great.
There might be still room for improvements, but as is the main tool to create add-ons, we will take care of that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike. And give some applause to Mike.